Thank you for joining us. Can you begin by telling us a little bit about who you are, your home life, and your professional life?
My name's Tina Liebling. I am now in my 6th term in the legislature, which just blows me away to say that, because I never started out even thinking I would ever run for any elected office, but so glad I did. I am married. I live with my husband. I have 3 grown children. One of them just got married. He lives in Rochester, so New Year's Eve we got to celebrate that wedding, which was wonderful. I'm an attorney by profession, although I haven't been practicing lately because it's pretty much all of my time is taken up with being a legislator, even when I'm not in session. So I do a lot of things in the community. I go to a lot of events, try to stay in touch with folks there.
If you look back over your time at the legislature, is there any legislation that you're particularly proud of?
Well, there is a lot of legislation I'm proud of. One I could mention is something from just this last session. Even though I was in the minority, I worked on and was able to pass some pretty big legislation that will help us control costs with our HMOs that participate in our medical assistance program. And I know there's been a lot of attention given to competitive bidding and how much money was saved there, but this is legislation that will cause some auditing to be done of the expenses that the HMOs report. It puts some limits in on things that they're allowed to spend the public's dollar on, and should really be helpful in controlling costs because, as we know, we spend a lot of money on medical assistance. We want those dollars to go to the people who really need the services and not to be wasted. And I'm really proud of this legislation because it was very complex. I worked with Senator Benson, who's a Republican in the Senate, and it just proves that even in the minority, sometimes you can get some pretty important things done. So this isn't an independent bill that has my name on it, really. I mean, there is one. What passed was part of the Health and Human Services Omnibus Bill. But very important, kind of in the weeds, under the radar legislation, but yet I'm very proud of it because it really will improve things for Minnesotans.
Can you tell us about your district and the constituents you represent?
Well, my district is completely within the boundaries of Rochester. Sometimes people say, are you a rural legislator? And I never really know how to answer. I am definitely a greater Minnesota legislator, but my district is really an urban or kind of suburban district. It's a very diverse district, not only racially, but economically. So on one end you have larger homes, people who are professionals by and large. On the other end you have people who are just hardworking folks who work in our hospitality industry, a lot of retired people, many of whom are still in their own homes. So really very diverse. And I think often people have a misconception about Rochester. They think we're just this wealthy community or a bunch of spoiled brats or something like that. Couldn't be further from the truth. Rochester has the same kinds of diversity and needs as the metro area. As Minneapolis and St. Paul, we don't have a huge property tax base, and we have all of the urban problems as well. But we do have a sort of can-do spirit that I'm very proud of. I think people in Rochester really come together to solve problems, and if there's a need and there's a fundraiser for something, for example, you'll get people coming out and supporting that cause and trying to make things better for everybody. So it's a great place to represent.
What do you think is the greatest challenge facing Minnesota?
Well, since I work in health and human services, I would say that the age wave and how we're going to meet that challenge is very much in front of us now. And as I look at where the state is now, our economy's doing very well compared to other states. And of course we're facing a very large budget surplus, which is a great problem to have. But what does concern me is that even though we have this budget surplus, we need to be very careful that we don't cut taxes to the degree that we won't be able to meet our future challenges. because as you look out from here, you see a real growing need for services because of our aging population and our disabled population, and as well as you know, perhaps declining revenues because younger people, there are fewer of them. And as we know, wages haven't been growing as much as we would like, and younger people are really feeling very squeezed in our economy. So I think we need to be very careful that we don't spend an outsized share of our resources on elderly people while ignoring people who are struggling to get by, who are not elderly. There are going to be big equity problems, I think, in how we join together as Minnesotans to make sure that everybody has a fair opportunity, and to make sure that our economy stays balanced and that we're able to provide the level of services that people in Minnesota really do like and expect.
Who inspires you, and what do you find inspirational about him or her?
And what really inspires me is when I go out and meet with people in the state, and my constituents in particular, who are working hard and getting up every day and doing what they have to do, not always with the best odds, not always under the best conditions, but working hard to support their families, working hard to get ahead in a job, working hard to get an education. The economy really is difficult for a lot of people, and to me, what's really inspirational is those everyday heroes, people who have challenges and they just keep working to overcome them. That's really heroism to me, not people who are in the public eye, who, you know, are kind of the big shots. It's the people who just work every day. Those are really my heroes.
Representative Liebling, thank you for your time.
Thank you.